everybody. This is Diane. Hello and welcome to Biters.
And this is Marnell. And I have nothing funny to say because I was just told that mooses lick cars in Alaska.
Yeah, you totally have something funny to say, and they do lick cars. So just so people know what that's all about, I gave my car a bath today because we had a moose over last night, and I'm pretty sure the moose was licking the salt off the sides of my car.
And I can understand that. However, I'm just stunned at the visual of a moose licking your Dodge, whatever?
Charger.
Dodge Charger? Yeah.
It's just one giant American-made salt lick.
That is so cool.
No, so you wrote the intro for this episode the other night where you said, "Welcome to Biters, where we talk about whatever the hell we want, and linear storytelling doesn't matter."
Exactly. What episode are we doing?
We're doing Coda, which is the episode before the episode that we reviewed last time.
Right? So in this episode, Tyrese is still alive.
Right. So don't pay any attention to the episode that just posted today, but listen to it. And then listen to this one.
And also listen to our review of the Boondock Saints.
Yes.
Because there's a little shout out in this episode.
Right.
Did you know that? Yeah.
No, I was thinking about a shout out to Diane LaSorsa, who said she actually listened to the whole Boondock Saints review. God bless her heart. No, there was a shout out to Boondock Saints in this episode?
There was. So it may have been intentional. I don't see how it couldn't have been. And I don't think it was actually in the episode. It was just in the promotional material for the episode. There is a scene where Norman Reedus and Andy Lincoln are in the hallway of the hospital, and they are both pointing their guns Boondock Saints style.
Oh.
And behind them, it says 5th floor, which is the floor that the brothers, McNamara, I can't say it. The Boondock Saints brothers lived on the 5th floor.
They did. That is hilarious. What a good catch. You have such a good eye for stuff like this.
Thanks, Reddit.
Oh, man, you should have just said thank you and left it at that. I would have totally given you the credit.
Oh, I'm not that cool. The internet is. The internet definitely is that cool sometimes. And I just sent you the screen cap of it.
Oh, very cool. So again, this is Coda, Season 5, Episode 8. The episode, I'm sorry, just before What Happened and What's Going On.
Right. So Coda was the mid-season finale, and What's Happening and What's Going On was the mid-season premiere.
Yep. And this actually aired on November 30th, 2014. So this is like 4.5 years old, basically.
Yeah.
Which again, crazy. It just doesn't feel like it's that old.
Season 5, so much happened. I think that's why we were kind of stuck on late season 4-ish in season 5. So much happened. We gained so many characters. We lost so many characters.
Mm-hmm.
We are between safe havens and yeah.
So not to put too much pressure on you, but have you decided what episode you want to do next week?
I have narrowed it down to 2.
Aha. Okay. You don't have to disclose.
I won't, because I'll have to see which 2 it was.
You eventually will have to disclose to me so I can watch it.
Right, exactly.
It can be a surprise to the listeners.
Right. I'm actually thinking about watching both and then deciding.
That's cool. I can respect that.
Because, I watched Coda, and then I went back and I watched Crossed, which is the episode before Coda, because so much is talked about in Coda that it's like, oh, did that happen the episode prior? No, it actually happened in the episode prior to Crossed. It actually happened in the episodes Self-Help, which is episode 5, and Consumed, which is episode 6. Episode 7, Crossed, is kind of a filler episode, which makes sense because we're building up to the mid-season finale, Coda.
Okay.
So... yeah, I've been busy, like, kind of skipping around and watching and everything. So, yeah, Coda was a good pick. I think the episode before was more filler, and I think this episode would have been a lot of filler, except for the end.
It didn't feel like filler to me. I love this episode.
How can you say you love this episode when we know it happens?
Well, I was telling Thomas O'Mara today that I am a Beth geek.
You are.
Which is really funny because, like most people, I was lukewarm about Beth when she was introduced. And by the time we got to this episode, I was totally devastated. Devastated. Do
you remember watching? I remember you and I texting back and forth. This was before even you and I even were podcasting. Mm-hmm. But we texted about the show because you were like, don't get on social media.
Right.
Yeah, this was the big spoiler episode that ticked off a lot of fans that don't get to watch live.
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to say before we get into our ratings that this was Morgan's second post-credit appearance in season 5. So did you make sure you watched through to Morgan's post-credit appearance?
I absolutely did.
All right. I had actually forgotten it and it caught me off guard and I was like, oh, right. So I didn't miss it, but I would have missed it if I hadn't kind of lingered.
The only way that I didn't miss it was because there was so much, we went to credits and there was so much time left on the timer bar that I was like, wait a second. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the season end or the end of the episode, you need to go back and watch post credits.
Yeah,
it's like a Marvel movie.
If you haven't seen Morgan's appearance, you absolutely have to go back and watch the post credit appearance.
Right.
All right, so give me your rating.
Well, like I said, it had the two things at the end not happened: the Beth's death and the appearance of Morgan. This episode, I think, was a lot happened, but none of it really mattered. So I feel like it was a big filler episode right up until like the last 6 minutes.
You're setting me up for a low rating.
I am. I gave it a 4.0 grilled legs of Bob. Which was disgusting.
It was disgusting. They did a great job making it disgusting. It kind of looked like ham.
Oh, God. Yeah, I wonder what it actually was. I'm sure it was probably rubber or something, but it did have maggots on it. So they had to keep the interest of the maggots during filming somehow. So maybe it was like chicken sausage or something.
Oh, yuck. Oh. So you're not going to eat ham. I'm not going to eat chicken. At least not for a while.
Oh, no. Yuck. So what was your rating?
I gave it 5 out of 5 because this is close to the pilot for me. AMC's social media spoilers. Because I'm still butthurt about the spoiler. Almost 5 years later.
God, this episode was so shadowed by Beth's death that I forgot so much else happened in it. So it's good. It's good to go back and rewatch and do kind of a retrospective on it. But yeah, that spoiler. I remember you texting me and warning me, so I didn't get spoiled, but I think it was really crappy of them to do what they did.
Oh yeah. I mean, I opened up Facebook and the first thing I saw was AMC's feed and it's got Daryl holding Beth and it says R.I.P. Beth.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. And there wasn't even a whisper of her dying before this episode.
I'll get into that. Because I have another thing to say about that, but it's in my good, bad, and ugly. So
okay, well, there was like her talk of Emily. I'm going to call her Beth Kenny a couple of times this episode. I just know that I am. So there was some scuttlebutt about Emily Kenny getting other roles, and I do remember the guys talking about that on the podcast way back when. So yes, there was a whisper, but who'd have thunk it?
Well, again, I'll save it for my good, bad, and ugly.
All right.
Okay, so the numbers for this episode, it had great ratings. It was 14.807 million live plus same day views.
Wow.
Remember when we were doing those kind of numbers?
Yeah, I actually do.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Very crazy.
And it was up almost 1.5 million from the previous week.
Well, it was a mid-season finale, and you knew that something big was going to happen.
It got mixed critical reviews. So there was one review that I read that you'll appreciate this. It said it was more laughable than moving, that Beth and Dawn's deaths were both wasted, and that Dawn had no leverage to turn around and demand Noah like she did.
Yes! We'll get into that.
I told you would appreciate that review, but it got mixed reviews.
I didn't think it was laughable. What was laughable?
Yeah, I didn't think it was laughable either, obviously, or I wouldn't have given it a 5.
No, there was nothing funny in this episode at all. Yeah, no.
So the title...
Obviously.
Right. Coda is a musical term, and I looked it up just so I made sure I had it right, that refers to a conclusion of a musical section that's formally distinct from the main structure of the piece.
Right.
And it's obviously Beth's association with music.
Right. Which I guess her character wasn't supposed to be kind of a musical character, but when they discovered her talent, they kind of wrote it into the show.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool.
And I love the song that she and Lauren Cohan did together. I believe it was at the end of season 2, The Parting Glass.
Yes.
That is one of my favorite songs. So I really like their version of it. I still listen to that periodically. It was on the season 4 soundtrack, which was a great soundtrack.
The show has soundtracks?
Well, not all of the seasons, but they actually released a season 4 soundtrack.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's got Oats in the Water, which was the song that played during the Herschel-centric episode that we did the retrospective on. It's got The Last Pale Light in the West, which played in one of the Governor episodes. It's got the song that played in Still.
I feel like we've talked about the music on the show quite a bit. In fact, just the mid-season finale for season 8, there was a good song, I believe.
Boy, I'm not remembering that song at all. You totally caught me off guard there.
Oh, that's funny. In fact, I think either you and I or Thomas and I, like, one of us I liked it and the other person didn't. So
one of my favorite, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, Hosier. One of my favorite songs by him, which is the Arsonist Lullaby, was used in one of the episodes, and I want to say it was used in season 6.
The person who does the music for this show has a good ear.
Yeah, great taste.
Yeah.
So our writer was Angela Kang, which I don't think I need to say a whole lot about her.
No.
Our director was Ernest Dickerson, who also goes by Ernest R. Dickerson. And he's got 11 episodes of The Walking Dead to his credit. He has also done, you'll appreciate this, work on The Purge. Not the movies, but the television series.
The television show. I was actually just thinking about the television series the other day because I was watching the movies on cable. I had them going in the background while I was making beef stew, and
that just sounds wrong.
Like chopping the carrots and the potatoes and the onion,
creaming
all that kind
the
of
meat.
Tainted meat. So I was actually just watching one of the movies the other day. I was like, God, the Purge show actually turned out to be really good.
Did you watch it?
I did, and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Oh, well, maybe Ernest R. Dickerson will do more directing on The Purge.
Well, he did good on the first season, so that would be welcome.
So he's also known for a bunch of other stuff. I just wrote down a couple. So he's worked on House of Cards. He's worked on Man in the High Castle. I thought this was really interesting. His first ever director credit was an episode of Great Performances on PBS in 1990.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, that's no mean feat. Your first directorial effort being a PBS special.
Right.
So, but I often hear his name associated with really good things. That's my recollection of Ernest R. Dickerson when I hear it, is that he's done some really high caliber work for The Walking Dead.
He directed an episode of Law and Order.
Of course he did. And did you know that our featured cast member has been in episodes of Law and Order and Law and Order SVU?
I did. I did.
Should we move on to our featured cast member?
Why not?
Okay, hold on. I've got a little intro for her.
All right.
Nobody likes us at this party. Nobody likes us on this couch. We can't stop eating the candy. We can't stop making out. The girl in the corner knows the story about the first night we met. She keeps asking, weren't you together yet?
So, of course, it's Emily Kinney.
Yay! And I love how the dogs just started barking and howling.
Of course they did. And that's terrible. They did not do that because it's not good. They did it because it's beautiful.
Yes.
Although
yes.
I was thinking about it when I was playing it, when I was kind of looking for a piece of music to play as kind of an intro to her. And I realize and appreciate that you have to be into stuff that's just a little bit syrupy, which I'm totally good with it. I like her sound. I like her lyrics. I think she's got a really, when you listen to them, her lyrics are actually kind of biting, even though she sounds really sweet. So I just kind of want to put out there that I know it's not everybody's sound, but I really love her.
And, I have to admit, I don't think I've listened. I haven't downloaded or anything yet. I haven't listened to a lot of her stuff yet. But it's funny. I just got into an artist named Mandy Harvey, and she was on an episode, she was a runner up on America's Got Talent or something. And she's actually a deaf singer, which is incredibly hard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just kind of getting into that kind of sound, so I really do need to download some. And I'm going to I almost called her Beth Kinney.
So if you've got iTunes Music, you can get her albums on iTunes Music if you've got a membership to that. I mean, if you want to include them in your membership, you don't have to pay for an album separately. I've bought the albums because I love them. Another song that I really want to bring to people's attention, and I think I've said this before, but she did a cover of a Tom Waits song called Hold On, and she performed it for Walker Stalker Con, so you can actually find that video on YouTube if you just do Emily Kinney and Hold On, and her version of that is so good that I wish that she could record it on one of her albums.
So you can also, it looks like, get her on, I have Amazon Prime Music. I pay the extra $8 a month, even though I pay for Amazon Prime, but you can get her albums on Amazon also.
Oh, right on.
So Blue Toothbrush was her debut album in 2011.
Yep. And that was an EP.
Yep.
So it's
and
not a full-length album.
Expired Love in 2014.
What that song was from.
This Is War in 2015. And that one has an explicit label.
Expired Love should too. In fact, I think probably Blue Toothbrush does as well.
No, not on Amazon. Maybe I can't get the explicit ones on Amazon.
I'm telling you, she doesn't pull any punches.
And then there's Oh Jonathan in 2018.
And then she also has a couple of singles. So she had a single called Mermaid Song. She had a single called Back on Love, and she had a single called Rockstar.
Rockstar, yeah. And the funny thing is, when you type in her name onto Amazon Music, the first thing that comes up is The Parting Glass.
Which, again, that's on the season 4 soundtrack for The Walking Dead.
Yep. So.
And it's it's a pretty haunting version of it.
Maybe I will have to listen to that tonight after we get off air.
So, I was really surprised. She was born in 1985.
Really?
Really. I mean, she looks like such a baby, but she was born in 85.
I was thinking 86, but it's because she's 6 years younger than me. That's right. I was like, no, 1986. No, she was born in August 15th, 1985. So yeah, I would have said she was 16 years younger than me, not
Right?
6 years younger than me.
And while you certainly do not look your age, she definitely does not look her age.
Well, thank you. And no, she definitely doesn't. But I was actually just looking at her Instagram today, and she still looks like she's matured from the show. She just, her Instagram is the kind of typical Instagram of a pretty blonde actress who gets to travel and do what she loves for a living. There are a ton of shots of her on here where, had I not seen them in the context of it being her Instagram, I would have been like, I know her from somewhere, but I don't know if I would have picked her out because she just looks like she's matured so much from the show.
Interesting.
But then again, she played someone so much younger than herself on the show.
Right. They really played up her youthful appearance on the show.
No makeup, but her hair was always kind of in a dirty ponytail. So, yeah, I probably could have picked her out of a lineup, but she's much better looking in real life.
I don't know. I think she's pretty cute as Beth.
She's adorable as Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her most recent project is in completion, but I don't think it's out yet, and it's a movie called Anhedonia.
Right.
And I thought that the plot actually sounded good. So she is in this movie, and the plot is, after a failed suicide attempt, a man receives a substantial inheritance from a long-lost relative and meets a struggling single mom with an eccentric young daughter. Together, they embark on a journey of self-discovery and healing. So I am assuming, just based on her cast placement, that she is the struggling single mom.
I would think so, too. And based on the other supposed like young girls, I would say that she was the older of the female castmates. So yeah, I think she's the struggling young mom. Looks like Breckin Meyer is the guy in it. And I absolutely love him. He's so funny. I was going to say,
I'm going to tell you what a loser I am and say, I don't know who that is.
That's probably because he does a lot of like King of the Hill, Robot Chicken, that kind of thing. But he was in the movie Road Trip. He was in Clueless. He does a lot of kind of funny stuff.
Okay, I saw Clueless a long time ago.
Yeah. And like he's in like a little bit of everything. He played a character in the horrible one of the horrible Nightmare on Elm Street movies that I absolutely love, Freddy's Dead, way back in 1991. He was in The Craft. I love that movie. Yeah. So, that will be the male protagonist in the movie.
He kind of looks familiar to me. I just pulled up his IMDb page.
Yeah. So yeah, that looks like a awesome movie with her coming out.
Yeah.
There's also a TV series that has yet to air called Messiah that she's in one episode of, coming in 2019. Mm-hmm. A man from the Middle East claims to be the Messiah. So I don't know if she's just in one episode or if there's only one episode done.
Well, with Preacher, that could be right up our alley.
Right? That's funny. So she was also in a show that is no longer airing. I think it got 1 or 2 seasons, called Conviction. And it was actually a pretty good show. She played kind of a legal assistant or lawyer, who was helping with the, kind of like the Innocence Project type thing. It was people who are post-conviction who they go back through their cases and kind of basically prove them innocent, you know? So that was a good show. And she played Brie Larvin / Bug-Eyed Bandit in Arrow and Flash.
And so she actually got some good attention for that. She had a couple of versions of that role, once on Arrow and then on Flash.
Right. And I'm sure, I'm not up. I'm probably about 2 seasons behind on each of those, but I'm sure it could have also been on Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. That's the other show. They all kind of intertwine with their plot lines sometimes. So she played the same character on 2 of them. So I don't know if her character's not dead, we could see her on the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch either of those shows, so I'm not sure what happened to her character.
So it's totally difficult to watch. So we started watching Arrow when it first came on, and then I think then The Flash came on, and then it was either Supergirl or Legends of Tomorrow. I can't remember which came after that. So you're watching 4 shows, and all of a sudden, like, they'll do a 4-part episode where each one of the shows gets an episode, and so you have to be up on all 4 episodes. You cannot be behind. And so that's actually where I got behind, is when they commingle the storylines. I'm like, oh, I have like a season and a half of Legends of Tomorrow that I have to catch up on before I can watch this. So I get behind, and then it just gets bumped down to the bottom of the list.
I hear ya.
I watch a lot of TV because I've seen her in a lot of stuff. She was in an episode of The Following, which is what was an underrated show. Of course, Law and Order. She was on The Good Wife, and she was on a really funny show that I wish had stuck around a lot longer. It was called The Unusuals, and there was only 10 episodes of it, but it had Jeremy Renner in it.
Oh, I like Jeremy Renner.
And it was a dark comedy drama focusing on dysfunctional cops and staff in the NYPD district or precinct. So it was just, I really wish it would have stuck around longer. I don't remember her character in it, but I do remember absolutely loving that show. It was kind of like a serious Brooklyn Nine-Nine for anyone out there who watches Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Diane's like, nope.
Yeah, I'm like, no, give me a Walking Dead rerun anytime, but nope. I really need to broaden my horizons. I mean, I'm even at the point where the podcasts that I'm listening to are old Walking Dead podcasts. I've got to get a grip.
Oh, that's so funny. So there's something that I haven't seen that I do want to see her in. The Princess Rap Battle?
Right?
She was in Dorothy versus Alice.
She plays Alice.
She plays Alice.
She would be a perfect Alice.
And could you imagine her rapping?
No, but she's a great singer, so there you go. She probably won the rap battle.
Oh, I'm going to have to hunt that down on the internet and see if I can't find it. It's probably on YouTube, the YouTube Red. Is it YouTube Red? I don't know. It's $11.99 a month, I think. I see it on my credit card bill. I know I have YouTube something.
Okay, I'm looking. You can find it on YouTube.
Of course.
Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz versus Alice in Wonderland.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, including in her long, lustrous career, she was educated. Where is it? My battery's running low. Nebraska Wesleyan University. She graduated with a bachelor in the arts degree in theater, and then she moved to New York to pursue her Broadway acting career.
And she was born in Nebraska, so that kind of makes sense that she went to Nebraska Wesleyan.
Do people in Nebraska have accents? I feel like she doesn't have an accent.
Well, she doesn't to me, but just like we probably sound like we have accents to people from elsewhere, she probably sounds to someone like she has an accent.
I just feel like everybody like east of Colorado has an accent. Let's see. Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff, and she's got a few things coming up, so I have to check out her music, but I don't have.
Oh, go ahead.
There's not much on her. Her Twitter page, it basically just promotes her appearances and things like that. Her where she'll be singing next, and the merchandise you can get at her store online.
Well, I definitely recommend looking at the videos that are available from Walker Stalker Con because she's done some live performance for them, and she's just so great. I just love her.
I love so when you Google someone's name, a lot of times the most frequently asked questions on them come up. And one of the first ones is are Emily, Kinney, and Norman Reedus married?
Well, so there was actually a rumor that they were dating for a while.
And I bought into it when I heard it, but just seeing Norman Reedus's wife and their child and everything together, I'm just like, no, I think they were just really, really good friends. But one of the other one was Emily, Kenny, and Harry Potter, and I kind of get
funny.
It. She looks like Luna Lovegood.
I was just gonna say Luna Lovegood.
Yep. So sometimes I just love the internet and their questions.
At least I didn't ask that.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, for being a giant Beth fan, I should have more to say, but I just want to say again, listen to her music.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of want to listen to the Mermaid song because on her store online, she's got a pair of underwear that just say mermaid on them.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can send me a pair of underwear that say mermaid on them for my birthday next year.
Okay. I'll do that.
And then the people at the gym will be like, oh my God, this woman needs to get a grip and just buy some plain underwear. TMI, I have Wonder Woman underwear, and I'm sure the people at the gym are like, get over yourself, old lady.
Heck no, that sounds awesome. I want a pair of Wonder Woman underwear. Oh.
So,
all right.
On to Whisperer's Corner.
Yes.
All right. So you asked me, what's up with Chandler Riggs?
What is up with Chandler Riggs?
So he tweets out yesterday that he is sitting on the set of season 1 of an incredible TV show for my first day of work.
I know. So in his IMDb, he does have a few movies coming up, but no TV shows.
According to comicbook.com, he's got this new significant role on this new TV show, but they're not saying anything about what the TV show is, and neither is he. He's mum at this point.
Yes, he's very tight-lipped and cagey about this one.
But, so look for Chandler Riggs on your small box or your big TV screen sometime, in the next year probably, if they're filming now.
I would think so. He's got 2 movies in post-production, so I would think that, they're filming now to come out in, 6-9 months?
Probably.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on Whisperer's Corner and see if we can figure out what he's on.
Yeah, stay tuned to Chandler Riggs' Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Or ask his dad if you know him. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. But we will say congratulations to Chandler Riggs on your new series.
Yes. Yes. He did take the break that he said he was going to take and did his thing, and now he's going to be back on the screen. So, anything else for Whisperer's Corner? I don't have anything. I have a very small thing for Whisperer's Corner. So on express.co.uk, they have an article about the episode where the story of Michonne and Daryl's X scars are revealed. I did see that. I think you sent that to me. Well, maybe. No, somebody else must have. Okay. But I looked at the article and I really couldn't tell if Michael Cudlitz is directing that or if they were just interviewing him after he directed the episode that he did recently. But he basically says it's really effed up, the story of how they got the scars. Yeah, we've talked about that in the way that everyone's playing it off, that something really terrible went down.
So we have confirmation from Michael Cudlitz. Now, whether or not he directed the episode or just had a chance to see the script, I'm not sure. But I would think that him not being on the show anymore, he probably is directing.
Yeah.
If he's seen the script and knows the story, the backstory of the scars.
Yeah, because Abe died way before. So I can't imagine that it's in a flashback.
Right. There's no reason that he would have that information.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my very small contribution to Whisperer's Corner, aside from the thing about Chandler Riggs that you already knew.
Oh, yeah. I'm up on the Twitter.
So shall we get on to our good, bad, and ugly for this episode?
We shall.
All right. Tell me your good.
My good was Morgan.
The post-credit scenes.
Yes. So you had asked me if I had watched the post-credit scene, and of course I had, because it's my good. I was so happy to see Morgan back, and I had forgotten that had happened in this episode because the Beth death overshadowed everything that happened in this episode.
Uh-huh.
So seeing the reappearance of Morgan, I remember how I felt when I was like, yes, Morgan's back. And then, oh crap, I have to wait 3 months to see the next bit. So yes, the reemergence of Morgan was my definite good for this episode.
So a couple of things I have to say about Morgan's reemergence. I think it's really cool when he's putting that walker down at the school and he's like, shh. And he shushes her before he puts the knife in her head.
Why did you like that?
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting. And the other thing that I love is the way he sets up the altar at the church.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that.
So the altar has a goo cluster, a bullet, and a rabbit's foot.
Right.
And I think original credit for this goes to Kirk and Jeff, but the goo cluster represents food. The bullet represents kind of the commerce that you need in this world. And then the rabbit's foot represents luck.
Okay.
And I have Kirk's tribute poster to this episode up on my wall. And the goo cluster, the bullet, and the rabbit's foot feature prominently on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot you have a poster of this episode.
I do. It was my one of my favorite tribute posters that Kirk has done.
Do you see his MLK tribute poster?
No, I haven't been on Twitter today.
Oh, okay.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was, the one that I saw was just the beginnings of a sketch, but yes, it was definitely amazing, as Kirk's work always is.
And now you have me opening up Twitter, which I don't do very often anymore, but it's worth it to see new Kirk Manley stuff.
I am on Twitter more often than I'm on Facebook now.
Oh, look, because you retweeted it, I get to see it. Oh, that's really, really lovely.
Yes. Check out @BatmanKM on Twitter for awesome Walking Dead stuff and a whole lot of other awesome stuff to boot.
Yeah, he doesn't just do Walking Dead tributes. He and Jeff, you said, are still doing Z-Girl.
Yep.
He often does posters for Walker Stalker Con. I've got one of those up on my wall as well. So he does some really, really great art.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was my recollection of their discussion of kind of how and why Morgan set the altar up the way that he did.
Okay. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe his son liked Google clusters, or maybe like his son had the rabbit's foot and the bullet represented like Rick. I tried to delve into it and I couldn't come up with anything in time. So
I think he talked about Google clusters on another episode, but I don't remember that for sure.
So do you remember if we ever found out what all of the carvings on the tree trunks were?
I don't remember what the carvings on the tree trunks were.
Okay. I couldn't figure out the sideways L thing, but I read somewhere online that the circles with the X's in it were back from the episode Clear, and he would put that on all of the cleared houses.
Oh,
So
interesting.
those houses were safe. And so people thought that it was Rick carving those into the trees to lead Morgan, this way is safe. But
interesting.
I don't remember if we ever found out truly what all that was.
I don't think they ever covered it explicitly.
Okay. Just one of those mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear my black lab's nails clickety clack?
I can. It sounds like you're doing a Google search.
So what was your good for the episode?
So my good was the cold open. So I love Rick running along, chasing after Sergeant Lamson, Officer Lamson.
Yeah.
And I love what he says to him, "Can't go back, Bob," because that's what Gareth said to Bob Stuckey.
It is.
And then when he runs him over and shoots him and says, "Shut up," after he shoots him. It's just so brutal.
I was going to say, I can't believe that was your good, because I actually wrote down Rick shoot Lamson in the head kind of cold-bloodedly.
Oh, yeah. Rick is totally off the rocker on this one.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing that's really cool, I don't know if you noticed it, but when Rick is driving along in the squad car, there's kind of an Easter egg of Lamson's family picture put up in the squad car, just like Rick's was in his squad car.
Oh, I didn't notice that. But that makes sense. I think that a lot of, even like not just police, but like first responders actually do that.
Sure. But it was just a cool little Easter egg in the squad car that Rick happens to get into.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So mine was the cold open. I mean, I just loved, and the way that Rick says it, "Shut up."
Yeah. Wow. I thought that was like extra brutal. I did not expect that to be your good.
Yeah, it was extra brutal. So it was definitely my good.
Oh.
So you rated it a 4.0. What was your bad?
Well, I'm not going to go with the obvious bad because I think that will be your bad. But I was trying to go with this, like not picking the obvious bads because I'm pretty sure you've picked it, but also like having watched this and gone no further, what would I have hated about this episode? And it was Father Gabe. At this point, he is still just a coward, and he's getting everybody into trouble that they shouldn't be in, and he's sniveling, and he can't take care of himself, and he screws up. And the scene where he is beating on the parish doors, like the people that he left out.
It's like so deliciously ironic.
It is. I was just like, oh, don't let him in, you know, like trying not to think any further into the future about Gabe's storyline. I was just like, I probably at the time was rooting for him to die.
I think it's just awesome that he's there at the front doors begging to be let in the church, just like his parishioners were.
Yes. And, you know, I thought it had happened in this episode, but it happened in the episode before this, where he sees someone had carved into the church, "You'll burn for this." Mm-hmm. And just, when they were trying to let him in, but, you know, his panic was increasing and everything. And I'm just like, you wanted to leave. You wanted to escape, all because you wanted to go back to the school to see if they were telling the truth, and you got your answer, and now you're just going to get everyone killed. So, yeah, my bad was Father Gabe. I don't know if he has become more of a better person now, or if he's just harder to hate without depth perception. But yeah, I remember loathing his character up until very recently. So, and this is where it all began.
I would agree with you. For a very long time, he was a very unlikable character.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing redeeming about him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
remember when he was such a snake when they first got to Alexandria and he was trying to rat Rick's group out and basically tell Deanna not to take them in?
Oh, no, I had forgotten about that. Jeez. I just keep going back to, I can't remember what episode it was. They were getting the food out of the pantry and it was all the parishioners that he had locked out and they were walkers and, just all of the bad that he caused that he had to confront that still didn't change him into a good person. Ugh.
Do you think he's become a good person?
I do.
What do you think changed him?
Being with the group he's with for so long, basically having a family, if having a family that he's willing to fight for, that they're willing to fight for him, and a lot of loss, I think that he has grown as a character.
Definitely.
I definitely this episode, it was one of those where I thought, what if Father Gabriel had died on this episode? Moving forward, what would have happened and what would have happened? Just one of those things. What if Beth had survived this episode? I what if the heck out of all of these past episodes? And yeah, I don't know if we would be any better off or any worse off, but yeah.
I would have been fine with Beth surviving this episode.
I think I would have probably been okay with Gabriel dying this episode. The character, not the actor.
Right. This is not a documentary.
Nope.
Well, I think my bad is going to surprise you.
It's not Beth's death?
It's the title.
Oh.
So the title was another big spoiler. I mean, when you read Coda and you realize that it's the end of a piece of music, how else are you going to interpret that? So I actually think they were really, really letting people know about Beth's death in advance of Beth's death.
I guess maybe because I didn't know what Coda meant before the episode. And I didn't put it together.
Yeah, so here we go. I'm still butthurt about the spoilers, and I think that the title was a spoiler too.
So this time in the comics, where we are in the comics, the book was actually called Fear the Hunters.
Aha, I have Comics Corner for you because I actually read it.
Oh. You're so awesome. I'm the TV person, you're the reader.
I'm trying to be. Thank goodness for the internet, because if I had to figure out where all of these different things fell in the timeline of the comic books, I would be in big trouble.
You would be like that, the crazy guy on, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's got that stuff behind him with it, and all the stuff is like, there's stuff pointing to other stuff, and he's like, it's all conspiracy theory type thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
But no, the internet's saved the day, so I actually do have Comic Corner for the end of our episode.
Excellent.
Yeah. So what was your ugly? And was it a good ugly or was it a bad ugly?
It was an I don't know ugly. So I actually had two goods for the episode, and this good actually plays into my ugly. We saw a lot of death this episode. Lamson died, Dawn died, and O'Donnell died. And of course, Lamson was the cop that Rick ran down and then shot. And O'Donnell was the one that was pushed down the elevator shaft by Beth and Dawn.
Mm-hmm. And
then, of course, Daryl shoots Dawn after Dawn kills Beth right there at the end. And so my ugly was when Dawn says, "Now I just need Noah, and then you can leave." And I was like, girl, you have no leverage. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I totally agree with that review that said she had no leverage to demand Noah.
Yeah, no. And I was kind of ticked off at Beth, but she kind of had plotted something when she put the scissors in her cast.
Mm-hmm.
And she walked up and, stabbed Dawn. Like, all of this was entirely unnecessary. Like, you could have just walked out with Noah. Like, No, you made a prisoner exchange 2 for 2. You don't get Noah back. I don't care if we're taking Beth and she was your ward and Noah was your ward and I need one of them back. No, you don't. Like, this is a really bad setup to begin with when you have people working in a hospital as hostages, you know? That's not sustainable.
Do you think she would have shot them? How do you think she would have resolved things if they had refused to bargain with her?
I don't know.
And Beth had not struck out at her.
And here's the thing. I absolutely hate Dawn, except when you figure what she was having to work with. The I can't remember his name, Grinwald or Grismwald or whatever.
Gorman. Creepy Gorman.
Creepy Gorman that Beth had a hand in killing, and then she killed O'Donnell. And Lamson was kind of a jerk, and then the other guy was kind of a jerk. And I'm just like, she is trying to hold this thing together, being the only woman full of a hospital where creepy guys take advantage of young girls. And I'm so like, I felt for her in that I kind of wanted her to be a leader, but I also thought that she was a really sucky leader because she was just really manipulative, and she was never going to have any true. She was never going to be a true leader. She was going to never have anyone truly backing her. And it was just all manipulation and control with the threat of violence or death. And so I absolutely loved that she died after killing Beth, but that whole scene there was just completely unnecessary and of her own insecure doing. Ugh.
What's really funny is your ugly and my ugly are very similar.
Oh, that's funny.
Beth's death was my ugly, both good and bad. And I'm glad it was wasteful, and I'm glad it was meaningless, because you know what? Sometimes bad stuff happens.
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
Death is meaningless, and sometimes things happen, stupid things happen out of spite.
Right?
And that's exactly what this death was.
Or stupid accident. I mean, it seemed like a reflex when she stabbed Dawn
it did
the
and
chest arm.
Beth stabbed her out of spite.
Right.
She had no good reason to do it other than just being angry and being spiteful.
Right.
It wasn't going to win her anything. It wasn't a big enough instrument to kill her.
And, I was a little disappointed in the way that we left Beth. I mean, going back to her lighthearted character and, kind of the singer and she was, a good kid on the show. And by the time that she died, she was so bitter and jaded from her experiences in the hospital that it was definitely a very sad Coda.
It's kind of interesting, though. It's kind of full circle because the first really in-depth glimpse that we get of Beth is when she tries to kill herself.
That's very true.
So I had never thought of that until now, but it is kind of full circle that you're right. She is bitter and she is jaded.
Yeah.
And wow, that's really sad.
It is. And of course, you had said a coda is the end of a piece of music that is different from the rest of the song.
Right, that's distinct from the piece. Yeah.
Right. And so this was Beth's coda.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I hate the title, because I think they telegraphed her death.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm glad it was wasteful. I'm glad it was stupid, because sometimes people die for stupid, wasteful reasons.
We were just talking about Chandler Riggs, and look, Carl died for a stupid reason in my book. I mean, they were just out like putting down random walkers because they wanted to release their souls or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he got bit for a dumb reason, and it happens,
Yep.
And dumb deaths happen every day. I mean, people get hit in crosswalks and, people like trip over stuff and hit their head and die. Like,
totally.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're in the zombie apocalypse or not.
So I think it's real. I think it's really realistic to have a wasted, meaningless death.
It is. It is. I mean, and, you know, in the next episode, we've already talked about it. You know, I feel that Tyrese's death was wasted. You know, he got distracted and got bit. You know, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you have for rotting potpourri? Anything in particular?
I absolutely loved the scene where the two cops drive up to Rick and they're kind of getting together the terms of the trade, and the cops are like, "Where are your people?" And all of a sudden a gunshot goes off and takes out the approaching walker.
Yeah, they're
and
close.
He's like, they're close.
So that same scene, the thing that I've written down for that is it was so cool to see the skyline of Atlanta again. It reminded me of season 1.
Yes.
Having them on top of the building and seeing the skyline of the city.
Yeah, and anytime we're in a hospital, it feels like season 1. I mean, I think we talked about that with, was it Fear the Walking Dead that was just in a hospital?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, they were getting a new wheelchair for Daryl Chill Mitchell,
Yeah.
and yeah, anytime you're in a hospital, it always feels like that first episode.
Well, and just seeing that skyline, too, it was like an old friend, you know?
Yep.
Well, let's see. I wrote down that I thought it was really interesting that Lamson's companions would lie to make the deal work, that they would lie to Dawn.
You know, and like I said, I really did not like her as a leader, but she did maintain some order, I want to say. You know, it was very loosely based, and it was going to be lost very soon after this had she not been shot or had she not shot Death. No matter what, I think there was a mutiny coming.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, even with O'Donnell dead, and Lamson dead, yeah.
And the female officer who was part of the exchange, she was the person who, after Beth was killed, was like, leave it. It's all about Dawn, and it's over now.
Right. That was so smart, because, I mean, everybody was ready to set it off at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and she diffused the situation. And I kind of am a little bit disappointed. We never did go back to the hospital, did we? This is where we ended it?
No, this is where we left it. We'll never know really what happened at the hospital, other than I suspect they probably went on as they were going. I mean, Rick offered to let the other wards and other people come with him, and nobody came with our group.
And I kind of wish because didn't we get a little side thing with Vatos?
No,
way back?
We did not. Remember, they were going to do that with the season 2 opener, and they scrapped it. I
really wish that we would get some sort, and I do and I don't, because it's one of those things where this would happen. You would leave groups of people and you would never see them again. Mm-hmm. Or, like the surprise in season 7 where we got them. Was it the Martinez family? Oh, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
where we saw Martinez again.
Yeah. And so.
No, not Martinez. What was his Martinez name? Martinez was one of the guys who was with the governor.
Oh. Morales, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it started with an M. So, I mean, I guess you do leave these places and you truly do leave them behind. And sometimes people do have a way of circling back to you, like Morales, and they're changed. And so maybe some of the people from the hospital or some of the Vatos could have circled back around, and, if they were bad, they could come into our group as good, or if they were, with our group when it was good, they could come back and be bad. I mean, it just, you never know. And so really, this is just my way of saying I'm still holding a candle for Heath.
Well, I haven't heard anything more about that actor, so # where's Heath? He could come back.
Oh.
So another thing that I wrote down that I thought was really funny. So when they show the walkers in the church, did you see what it said on the archway in the church?
Something about eating blood and flesh.
He who eats of my flesh and drinks of my blood shall have eternal life.
Yes.
And it's framing the walkers. Like Herschel said in episode, or like Herschel said in season 2, I don't think this is what God meant.
Oh, well, they do say in some of the Romero movies, when hell is full, the dead will walk the earth. The dead will walk the earth.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, that was kind of an ironic thing to be framing walkers with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh. Let's see.
So I definitely liked the perspective that they used when they filmed the hallway scenes. They had it kind of offset at an angle, and I definitely felt that it made it creepier and more kind of horror film-like.
Yep, it's called the Dutch angle.
Oh.
And it is used, a cinematography trick used to portray tension and psychological unease.
Well, it's very good. It does a very good job doing exactly that.
It was not lost on Di. So much so that I had the psychic sister connection, and I was like, I need to look that up.
Where did you find that?
It is on the IMDb trivia page for Coda.
Very good. So I have to tell you also that, so I got very tearful when our group started to tear up after Daryl shot Dawn. Because, you know, Daryl was just standing there crying.
Yes. And like, that was the only thing that was going to make me cry, is Norman Reedus crying.
Well, I'll tell you what really got me, though. Seeing Maggie lose it. So I teared up with our group, but seeing Maggie lose it made me cry again.
Enjoy it while it lasts, because we spend all of season 5B going, Beth who? Do you remember all those memes about that? Like, she doesn't even remember, like, Beth isn't even mentioned.
Well, there was a lot of griping about her not missing Beth in 5A. So for most of season 5, there's a lot of griping about her not remembering Beth.
Yeah, because of course we come back in the episode Tyrese dies. We come back from mid-season and we're digging a grave, and Maggie's crying, and we assume that it is Beth's grave. And if you've listened to the show We Already Podcast, it's actually Tyrese's grave.
Yeah,
so,
Beth who that?
Yeah, Beth didn't even get a funeral. Beth who?
But Maggie did make me cry.
Yeah, and you know, Norman Reedus crying will always make me cry. And he said this was the biggest loss of Daryl's life. Merle and losing Beth were the two biggest losses of Daryl's life. And he also said that he actually spent an hour just crying, just sobbing before they shot the scene of him carrying her body out of the hospital, just so it would look authentic and look legit, that he was really that devastated.
Well, it still gets me. And I've got to tell you, we've had a lot of really sad deaths on this show. This is still the hardest death for me.
We have. And some surprising deaths that just come way out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the thing that's really cool about the end of the episode, after Morgan sets up the altar in the church, he finds the map with Rick's name on it.
Yes.
The world's going to need Rick Grimes.
The one that Abe wrote.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, they're headed to Washington, so it's where they meet up with the Alexandrians next season.
Yep. En route to Washington. They don't actually ever make it to Washington.
No.
So... Go ahead.
I have to tell you that Beth's death was so controversial that it caused an uproar on social media, fans sending hate mail and even death threats to Scott M. Gimple.
Oh my God, really?
Really? Along with plastic spoons being sent to AMC Studios. It's a reference to the silver Washington, D.C. spoon that Beth found. A Change.org petition titled Bring Beth Back was also created and collected over 60,000 signatures in 3 months and was even discussed on Good Morning America.
Okay, I remember hearing about the petition and remember thinking, really? How are they going to bring her back? Because she had a pretty big hole in her head. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah, that was nothing that you're going to come back from.
Yeah.
Because,
not even as a walker.
Yeah, like that just even shot her chance of being a walker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. This is the third time we see Daryl cry. The other episodes were The Sorrowful Life in 2013 and The Still in 2014.
So this Sorrowful Life must have been the one where Merle died.
Yeah.
And then Still was the episode that was just about him and Beth, which was a great episode. I love that episode too. We'll have to do that as a retrospective at some point.
Because linear storytelling doesn't matter. Time isn't real.
No. It's that wibbly wobbly timey wimey thing.
This is the fourth consecutive mid-season finale in which a young girl or woman dies. In 2-7.
So Sophia?
In 2-7, pretty much dead already, Sophia dies. In 3-8, Made to Suffer, Penny Blake dies.
Okay.
In 4-8, Too Far Gone, Megan Chambler dies.
Okay, Tara's niece.
So, and now we have Beth's death.
Huh. Well, The Walking Dead is hard on young girls.
And horses.
Yes.
Poor Buttons.
So I have some stuff for Comics Corner. Phil's Comics Corner.
Phil's Comics Corner.
He's got a theme song now.
Totally just made a soundbite out of that for his
Do it again, just so he gets it nice and clearly.
Now I'm gonna laugh about it. Phil's Comics Corner.
That is really funny. So I don't think I realized this because I knew in the comic books that Herschel had like a gaggle of kids, and the only kid that we ever really got a lot of storyline about was Maggie. But Beth was not actually a comic book character.
Huh.
At all.
I didn't realize that.
She was totally created by the season 2 showrunner Glenn Mazzara.
Good for you, Glenn Mazzara.
Right.
Good addition.
Right. I mean, there has been a lot of hate for Glenn Mazzara, but I have to say his addition of Beth, yay, thumbs up. So I actually went back and read volume 11, Fear the Hunters, which covers issues like 61 to 66, which is the cannibal story, because there was so much about the cannibal story in the little side trip that we took with Father Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really kind of what I spent my time on in Comics Corner, is that they do find the Thunderbird van in this episode. Remember the Thunderbird van that Eugene was driving in the episode where Noah died?
Not really, vaguely. I mean, I remember the episode. I don't remember the Thunderbird van.
The van's got a big Thunderbird painted on the side. So they actually do find that van in this volume of the comics. Ben and Billy, who are the twins that Carol and Dale adopt in the comic books, actually have the Lizzie Mika storyline in these these issues of the comics. So Ben actually kills Billy, his brother Billy. So you see it way earlier than you actually do in The Grove in the television series. And
wow.
And you see it with Ben and Billy, not with Lizzie and Mika, because they don't exist in the comic books.
Right.
Dale is still alive. So Dale way outlived his character in season 2. And he's together with Andrea, who also way outlived her character.
Yeah.
Father Gabriel shows up and basically is like, hello, can I tell you about the Word of God? So seriously, he's like this awkward kind of, what are you and where did you just come from character, even in the comic books.
But was he like bumbling, I'm going to get people killed coward?
Oh, yeah. He was totally
Okay.
clueless. Like, his whole thing was like, I prayed and everything's going to be fine. And everybody's like, what? What world are you living in?
So had he locked his parishioners out?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, Father Gabriel's not just a bumbling idiot, but he's nefarious. Like, there's something like, I got a Children of the Corn type vibe from him, and I'm like, he's gonna kill people, like, with, like, ears of corn or something.
No, that's for Tulip and Preacher.
He's just not a good guy. And, you know, it took me a really long time to convince, because even in Alexandria, not just leaving the gate open, but him doing that weird, I'm just going to go out and let a walker eat me, and then he changes his mind at the last second, and just, he was all over the map. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of trust for him, but it's better now.
He's all over the map in the comic books, too. I mean, it takes a long time for him to kind of grow and change and become a character that you have any trust for in the comics. I remember that.
Yeah, and I don't know if, like, dating Rosita is helping or hurting.
I don't know. We'll have to see in the back half of season 9.
Right?
Let's see. So Dale actually dies in these issues in this volume of the comic book, and he gets the death that was given to Bob.
Right.
So he gets caught by the cannibals, who in this are called the Hunters. They're not actually the people from Terminus, because Terminus is a storyline that doesn't happen in the comic books.
Right.
But the dialogue between Dale and the Hunters is very much the same as the dialogue between Gareth and Bob.
Yep.
Chris is the main hunter in the comic book, and he even says, "You taste much better than we thought you would." And Dale does respond with, "Tainted meat! You're eating tainted meat!"
How satisfactory would that be?
Right?
Like, they've caught you, they're going to kill you, but first they're going to make you watch them eat your leg. And you, in the back of your mind, have this little nugget that you're just going to spring out with, like, as soon as all of them have a belly full.
Oh.
That would be so satisfying to wipe those smug smiles off their faces.
Yep, he gets to deliver that line. And he does get dumped back at the church for our group to find him, because the cannibals really feel like it will discombobulate our group and make our group weaker, and make it easier for them to pick off another member of our group by doing that.
Little do they know.
Right? And this is actually where the line from Terminus, they're messing with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually where that line happens in its unedited version. So a lot of the story that we see, like, in the last part of season 5, season 6, is actually, at the beginning of season 6, is actually taking place in this volume of the comic books.
Interesting.
The other thing, and the other kind of reason that I fell down this rabbit hole, is I was like, you know, did Gabe actually do that? Did he actually go back to the school and, like, find Bob's leg on the barbecue and all of that kind of stuff? Gabe actually participates in finding the Hunters, and in not killing them, but in kind of tracking them down. They are not actually killed in the church.
Huh.
And then he's completely freaked out by the way our group totally off the Hunters.
You know, as you would be, as much as I hate Father Gabriel, especially in these beginning episodes, he has been sheltered. You know, he does not know what kind of people are out there and what it takes to survive. So this, you know, group of, like, dirty survivors comes in, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna kill this person, and we're gonna take out all these walkers that, like, were parishioners of yours, and I can see how it would all be really, really shocking and overwhelming, but I don't know, I just feel like I would have caught on a little earlier than he did.
Well, even Rick is second guessing that they took the cannibals out really brutally. Even Rick second guesses himself in these episodes of the comic book. Or issues, rather.
He was sure totally at comfort of shooting Lamson in the head after he ran him down with a car.
Shut up.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Lamson was a bad guy, but I don't know. It was just really, he could have lifted him up, thrown him back in the back of the police truck and, at least delivered his paralyzed body back to the hospital.
So I just figured it out. The reason that I like the way he delivers that line so much, the way that Rick delivers that line, he delivers it with the same tone that he delivers the line to Merle in season 1, where he says, "Yeah, your voice carries."
That's funny.
But yeah, so that was kind of my little trip into Comic Corner, is that, there are some things that are very similar to the overall storyline, but there's no Beth, and there's the storyline with the hunters, the cannibals, is very different than what we see Gabe actually doing.
Right.
So, so that's your summary of what happened in the comic books to get us up to this point.
Do we feel like they were still kind of loosely following the story?
Well, it was so mixed up in terms of time,
Okay.
and in terms of things happening so much earlier and so much later. They certainly pulled parts of the story from the comic books to make parts of the story that we know now, but way out of order and way jumbled.
Right.
But it's been fun going back and looking at the comics and kind of trying to figure out how it all fits together.
It has. I do need to get up on my comic book reading and probably order a few more.
We'll use the Google. It will help you. I would definitely be in trouble if I didn't have the internet to point the way. Right?
Could you imagine if the zombie apocalypse happened? How many arguments would break out just over what episode happened where in what show?
Right. And what we couldn't Google anymore.
We would tear ourselves apart based on how many episodes of Star Trek there were.
I couldn't tell you that.
There's I can't remember which Star Trek it is, but there's a fight over how many episodes there were, because they're not, some people consider a to be continued episode the same episode, and some people, yeah.
I think they're separate episodes. Sorry, I fall in that camp.
Yeah, if they're 1 hour episodes and there's a to be continued after the hour, then that the next episode is a second episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
Unless they play it back to back.
Even if they play it back to back, if they say to be continued.
Yeah, because they do that now a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When they want to wrap something up really quickly, they're like, "Oh, we'll just do 2 episodes a week."
Well, I was listening to an old Walking Dead cast about Wrath and North, which were 2 episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, which had been filmed separately, but then were crammed into the same night as the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
But they were 2 separate episodes. Even though they were played on the same night, back to back.
They've been doing that a lot. And there was actually, I was just watching something the other day. The television show, The Passage. It's the one that's...
I tried. I really tried.
So it was okay, but they really needed to do a twofer. I just watched the second episode, and I really think they needed to do a 2-hour series premiere, and they should have done 2 episodes back to back, because the first episode, I don't think most people were caught by the first episode.
I gotta tell you, 10 minutes in, I was like, this is not The Walking Dead.
No, it's definitely not The Walking Dead. But I just love that sassy little girl that's in the show.
She's a pretty cool kid, but it's still not The Walking Dead.
Are we petering out on our zombies and vampire shows?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that we've had the penultimate zombie show, and everything else kind of is second tier.
Yeah. So the episodes that I'm looking at to podcast about, I'm on the fence for the Conquer, which is season 5, episode 16. It's a season finale of 5. And that's the one where Daryl and Aaron go off looking for stuff.
Okay.
And they come upon all of those, like, it's like a fruit packing plant. And they get trapped. It's been set up.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. And I cannot remember the name of the next episode that I wanted, but it's the one where they meet Jesus. They meet Jesus.
Oh, the Benny Hill episode.
The Benny Hill episode. The Next World.
Very good.
Yeah, so that would be season 6, episode 10. So those are the two I'm on the fence about. I don't know if I want to do Conquer or The Next World.
Well, you just have to let me know.
Okay. Watch them both.
No, you just have to let me know.
I'm telling everyone out there, watch them both. They're both good episodes. I'm trying to decide between the two.
Right on. And then the week after that, we'll do Boondock Saints 2.
Yep. And then the weekend after that,
Walking Dead is back.
yay!
I'm going to have to rewatch the season finale or the mid-season finale because it's been long enough that I need to put that back in my head.
Yep, need a primer.
Yep.
Yep.
All
right.
I guess that wraps it up for this week, huh?
Well, we seem to be able to talk about a show longer than the actual show.
We're pathetic.
Well, we did start off with Moose Salt Licks, so.
That's true. And now we're ending with Moose Salt Licks, kind of.
Oh, that's so funny. All right.
All right, everybody, just remember, take it one
dead day
at a time.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. All right, everybody, have a good week.
Have a good one.